So I drew the garage in 3D CAD. What that allowed me to do was get pretty accurate numbers on how much wood I needed, my measurements, where to lay out my J-bolts, etc. So in this next picture, I tied the rebar that's going to go in every third block down to the rebar that's in the footers with a 90-degree leg on the bottom. What that allows you to do is that ties basically the foundation into the footers. Once the block work was complete, I had a pump truck come out. Me and the neighbors filled the blocks with concrete core fill. So here you can see the vapor barrier that was put down. The building is permitted, so you have to have vapor barrier. I guess you'd still want it regardless. And on top of that, I put wire mesh. The concrete guy said I didn't have to have it, but I just wanted that extra layer of protection. Even though I've got 4,000 PSI concrete instead of 3,000. I also dug down 2 inches. It's a 3 foot by 5 foot pad because the original design of this garage, I'm putting a lift in it. So I've dug 2 of those pads down for the lift to sit on in the future. So here in this picture, you can see this is after I stood the first wall up. I was pretty overwhelmed when I stood it up, just seeing how tall it was and thinking about how I was going to get actual OSB up on these walls as well as putting trusses up. The walls are 12 foot tall. The block is 8 inches, so it makes the whole ceiling height about 12 foot 8 inches. My lift is 12 foot 4, so that's kind of where I came up with that number. Ordered my Gable Trusses, dropped down 3.5 inch to allow for the purlins to stick out to create my 1 foot overhang. My original plan was to do the roofing myself, but I wound up hurting my back, so I paid the man. It happened to be the best decision I'd made, the whole build. So this back wall ended up being about 6.5 foot of foundation on that back corner. Made it pretty difficult to side the whole back. Got a 24-foot extension ladder, and to get to that very peak for the siding, soffit, and metal trim, I actually had to have the ladder in the bed of the truck. It's unfortunate, but hey, I made it work. Hope to never have to get back up there again. Okay, YouTube, just want to do a video of the garage built. It's 40 foot wide, 32 foot deep. There's some screenshots at the beginning. I kind of explained some stuff. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail and do a little walkthrough. All right, so as you can tell, I did a 612 roof pitch, 3 bays. Bay 1 is a 9 foot wide, 10 foot tall door. Bay 2, 10 foot tall, 10 foot wide. Bay 3, 9 foot wide, 10 foot tall. As you can see in the pictures that were in the beginning, this back wall used to be right at 7 foot tall from the top of the block all the way to the bottom grade level. I wound up bringing a whole lot of dirt, backfilled around, also made my little girl swing set area since we live on a basement lot. Had to bring in a lot of dirt. So a couple things. So before I built this, obviously I've never built anything like this before. I didn't know how to do this transition from siding to brick, but it's actually pretty simple. What you do is I actually screwed a 2x6 right here. I left it hanging over the front of my OSB by about 1 inch, and then the brick guys actually bricked all the way to it. And then when I broke this metal, it actually comes over here to an angle and covers all that. So again, didn't know it till I did some research, and it's also what's kind of on the front of my house as well. As you can see, driveway is still yet to be done. It's supposed to go in, they said this week, but we'll see. We've had a lot of rain here. We're in South Carolina. I did 2 windows on the side, 2 doors, one here, one in the opposite back corner. Eventually this will be either like a stucco or parge in the block. I may wind up just painting it, I'm not sure yet, because eventually there will be shrubs and stuff that'll cover most of it. I did 2x6 on all of my fascia boards to give it a kind of a bolder look than just a 2x4. I broke all the metal myself, did all the soffit work, all the siding. I did not do the brick work. I did a 1 foot overhang on everything. And go around this side. So I also, if you can see kind of the dirt path, I have a separate service just for the shop. Actually just got the first power bill, it was $24. So basically separate service. South Carolina, you have to have 2 8-foot ground rods. Something I didn't know again until I was asking people and got that information. So I've got a 200 amp panel inside. I've also got 6 breakers, I believe, outside, breaker spots, or 4. But it can be 8, I guess, if you use the slim panel breakers. Hopefully all this eventually will be grass. Let's go inside. I need to grab my beer. I don't have garage door openers installed yet. I'm still working on the inside. As far as the outside, oh yeah, another thing I was gonna say, when I did this overhang in the front, I originally had a 1 foot overhang on all sides, but after I had made this overhang and then called the brick guys to come brick it, I realized I only left a foot overhang. And obviously a foot from the front, when you take up the thickness of a brick, now I would only have like a 8-inch overhang. I was able to correct that, so I did spacer blocks all the way along the fascia board and then another fascia board on top of it. So right now I actually have 11-inch overhang instead of 12 inches, which is fine. I mean, the average person's not even gonna be able to see that, but that was a hiccup I did. I didn't know, again, never built anything like this. The wall height of this shop is, as far as for the studs, is right at 12 foot 1/2 inch. And the reason I did that, it's actually like 12 foot 5/8 of an inch, is on the outside. When I OSB'd this, I have 4 foot OSB going here with a 8 foot piece on top of it. Again, no cutting. Same thing with the hole dimensions. It's 32 deep, so 8, 16, 24, 32 by 40. So, you know, 8 divided by 45. Keep all your dimensions simple like that. It will save you in the long run. Material costs, cutting, time, everything. Let's go inside. So, on the inside, just give you a brief pan. Again, 12 foot. My lift is actually 12 foot 4, so I had to make the ceiling obviously high enough to clear that. I just did a review on those super bright lights that you see right there. Soon to do the rest of them. Okay, so let's go through some stuff. I did LVLs above the doors, 2 of them. I had the building center actually draw it up, make sure the load capacity of it, since I was doing a brick front. I always recommend LVLs, just they're stronger than just using 2x10s, 2x12s with OSB in between them. let's see. Another thing, when you are framing, something I didn't know, when you are framing your garage doors, the Lvls, so they're actually 9 inches wider. Since, like say this door right here, it's a 10-foot wide door, 10 foot tall. So that LVL up there, they are 9 inches wider. So that gets you, you've got 2 jack studs on each side. So there's 3 inches, 6 inches, and then you actually, for your fascia, for your metal to wrap around, let me open this back up so you can see. There is another 2x6 there and a 2x6 there. So all that equals 9 inches, hence the door width or LVL having to be 9 inches wider. So actually when you look at where the blocks are to the other block, that is actually 3 inches wider than the actual opening. So again, back to this door. So if you were to measure from this block right here to that block right there, that width is 10 foot, 3 inches. Again, the reason you've got that board that you've got to break metal around here and here, so that takes up 3 inches. So with that out of this picture, you've got 10 foot wide opening. The door height is supposed to be 1.5 inches taller. So the actual framing height was 10 foot, 1.5 inch. Same thing when I put the board to go across the top for the metal to break against. That board is 1.5 inches thick, so there's your 10 foot tall. Trusses, I actually had the trusses brought out. I ordered them from a building center. Had the trusses brought out and had a crane. I rented a crane. The guy came out. It cost about $450, I think. Super easy to do. One thing I will say is actually each spot, obviously 2 foot on center, I had laid out, and I bought these angle brackets that sit like that, and you just butt your truss against it. What that doesn't help you is for up in the air, keeping these square. I'll put a link to what I did. They come from Menards. It's hard to tell. It actually looks like a crack in the ceiling, but they're these right here. So they're actually like a accordion style. They unhinge and they'll cover, I believe, 5 trusses. Let me see if I can focus on that. Yeah, there you go. They'll cover like 5 trusses, and they actually come over and you just nail them to the top. You leave them installed. And I put one there, there, and there. And I guess, yeah, that's it. And there. Sorry, I guess I did 3 on each side. Kept the spacing perfectly 24 inches on center. Recommend them. They were not that expensive. Like I said, I'll put a link to them in the video or in the description below. And the way we did it is I had one guy as a tagline on the truss as he picked it up to keep it from spinning. I had another guy sitting up here and another guy sitting on this end, and they were both the nailers. And then I rented a scissor lift from Home Depot, and that's how I got up and actually put those braces on. And then as you can see, I went back and did all the required bracing afterwards. Pretty easy. He was only here, I want to say 4 hours, and he was gone. Another thing I recommend, or I think they actually tell you, is if you look, let's see, right here, you can see this board overhanging right there. So what that's called is, I guess it's called deadwood. Serves 2 purposes. One is for your drywall to have something to nail against or screw against. The other thing is when you put these gable trusses on, if you don't have something there for them to sit against, one, you won't have any, you'll have to toenail in. The other thing, you'll have to try to get that exact. So you don't want to be messing with that when the crane's here charging you $125 an hour. So have your deadwood up, back your truss all the way up to it, shoot it in, you're good to go. Another thing you'll see is I recommend, you can see in the picture and the screenshot that I did, is if you look up here, there's purlins that stick out. When I order these trusses, the gable trusses, I have them step down 3.5 inches. That allowed me to go with a 3-foot board to go from here to here, plus a foot from my overhang out, instead of having to try to build something and nail it to the side. Made it a lot cleaner, a lot easier, and to me a lot stronger, because it's on the vertical edge of this 2x4. What else? As you can see, I've started insulating. For anybody in the comments, no, I do not have 2 side-by-sides. One of them is not mine, it's my uncle's. What else do I have? Okay, there's 39 receptacles in this shop. You can see they are spaced around the back. I did 2 gang boxes on the sides. 2 gang, 2 gang, 2 gang. I also have a 220-volt outlet right there. I have an outlet in the ceiling right here because I knew I wanted a retractable light. Right there, put an outlet in the ceiling. See if I focus on that. And also my lift is off of 220, it's on its own circuit. It is, it is hardwired in. Again, 220, I believe it's 20 amps. All of my wire is 12-2, so I have 20 amp breakers on everything. I also put an outlet here, an outlet here, an outlet there. What that is for is my garage door openers. So I've got 3 of these, because if you had a traditional style, your railing and your garage door opener would be over here. Well, if I ever have an SUV or something up on the lift, I did not want it to interfere with the garage, so I went ahead and put them on all 3 doors. What else we got? Another mistake I made is when I had this shop backfilled with dirt and compacted, the guy asked me, where do you want the dirt to stop? So basically I went around and I drew a line all the way around the shop, right? And I did that a block height down plus 4 inches for the slab. What I did not know is that you want the garage raked towards the front. So unfortunately, my dirt was perfectly level. So my concrete guy started at the back to give me a rake 6 inches thick to 4 inches thick. As you can know, concrete is way more expensive than dirt, so it was a costly mistake. It's in the past now, nothing I can do about it, but it is what it is. Here is where those pads were I was talking about in the screenshot. So it's basically, it's like 3 foot and 5 foot for the lift, and then 1 there. I also had pre-drawn out before the concrete came how I wanted my expansion joints cut to basically stay far away from the lift pads. Let's see what else. So if you look in here, I got, again, 200 amp service. So lots of room to expand if I ever want. It's probably overkill, but I do plan on adding a few extra things, some outside lighting, some mini split unit, maybe some outlets inside, but you never know. This paneling, just from Lowe's, just corrugated metal, and the reason I did that is so if I ever wash the shop out with a pressure washer, pressure wash the floor, I don't have to worry about drywall getting wet. Eventually it'll be, I'm not sure what on top, maybe I'll make a video when I do that. Don't know what I'll use. Something else that I did to try to keep, since this back wall was so tall, sorry, is I used this right here, expansion joint material. Let me see if I can focus it. All the way around, basically to keep the concrete from expanding and contracting and pushing and pulling on that wall. Hindsight, another mistake I made, this back wall, since it was so high, probably should have been done with 12-inch blocks instead of 8-inch. Again, hindsight's 20/20. I didn't know, never built something like this. I wish the brick guy would have told me, or the block guy, sorry. It was a different guy that did the block work versus the brick work. Another thing, the outlets, I did say they were all 20 amp. All the outlets are 20 amp. The lights are on a 15 amp circuit. So if you happen to see in the videos that the wire in the ceiling's white, no, it's not on a 20 amp circuit. It's 15 amp. Another thing that was helpful is for these J bolts right here. Well, it obviously helped when I had it in CAD. I knew how to space them out so they didn't interfere with studs. The other thing I built was something like this. Obviously that's not a J-bolt, but you get the idea. So what I did was when they were just blocks here, before the core fill pump truck showed up, I went out and I had marks everywhere I needed a J-bolt. Well, I drilled a hole right here. So I cut this whole board right here down to the width of a block, which is 7 5/8. This mark right here is 5.5 inches, which is the width of your seal plate. So then 2 3/4 of an inch gets you to the center of that, and then obviously to the center right there, you just make your mark, drill your hole. So what that did was once we were core filling the blocks, all we had to do was take this, if you can imagine that being a J-bolt, line it up with the edge of there, and basically right over where this was, push it down in and have it already threaded up, and boom. It's perfect, it's straight, it's exactly where I need it to be. It's not too far in, not too far out. Just something simple I picked up along the way. Hope that helps. Okay, so 2 other things I want to point out. This hammer, it's ESTWING hammer. I think it was like $35 at Lowe's, 30 bucks, something like that. This was very helpful. If you have a board that has a twist in it, you can basically lift this along the edge like that, and you can bend it into place, shoot your nails in it. It was a lifesaver as far as getting everything true and square. Another thing, I don't do this for a living, so I didn't have any high-tech equipment, but I bought this Harbor Freight special. I think it was 100 bucks, and you know how Harbor Freight is. You get a coupon. I got it for 80 plus tax. Never missed once. I dropped it, I dropped it from the top of that wall all the way to the concrete, picked it up, kept on shooting, no issues. I've never even oiled it. I know that's not great to say, but never even oiled it. Has no issues, has never even misfired once. Those are 2 things that, like I said, I found pretty useful during the shop build. Another thing I did want to point out, these fans, pretty cool. I wanted big ass fans, but they're really expensive if you've never looked them up. But I got these from Lowe's. They're 6 foot in diameter. I got 2 of them. They, I believe, are $300 a piece at this Lowe's. They also come with a remote that you can see here. So I can start, stop, change the speed, even reverse it, and turn the lights on and off. And if you didn't want a light, that comes with a little stainless steel plate to cover the light, so you don't even see it if you didn't want it. I chose to leave it on, personal preference. Let's see, I think that's about it. I plan on doing some more videos here soon, maybe installing the garage door openers, maybe some of the paneling work. If you guys want to see anything as far as like how to wire a 220 volt outlet in, or anything about the lift, or just any other questions in general, I'd be glad to make another video or answer the comments below. I'm pretty good about getting back to you. All right, that's about it.